documentary called Framing Britney Spears has been making headlines all around the world after it aired in the States last Friday.
Well, the programme details Britney's rise to fame, her public breakdown in 2007, as well as her ongoing legal battle with her father, Jamie, who has control over many aspects of her life and career. Well, we're joined now by Sam Rubin, live from LA, and Kim Kaiman, who worked with Britney for 6 years. Morning to both
Good
of you.
morning.
Thank you for joining us. So, Sam, this has obviously caused ripples around the world. What's the foundation of the documentary?
The foundation of the documentary, first and foremost, is that it comes from the New York Times. So I think under that umbrella of real authenticity, what we're learning here and what we're relearning, I don't think people are questioning. It's not some tabloid rumor. It really gives a very deep dive, almost a forensic examination of the origins of Britney's career. And then it goes into sort of the rise and what I would describe as the fall, certainly in terms of her mental health. One villain of the piece, absolutely, is the treatment Britney received in the media. I want to show you here a clip from the documentary. This is an interview with a young Britney and Diane Sawyer, and Diane Sawyer is very much all over Britney about her fashion choices, and it seems to be, some suggest, almost an attack.
It's extraordinary treatment of somebody who is so young about something so personal, so publicly there, and there are calls for her to come forward and apologise for that now. Not only her, though. I mean, there's also Justin Timberlake, and she was in a very public relationship with him at the time, and then there was the music video, Cry Me a River, where there was a Britney lookalike in it, and there was sort of allegations that she had cheated during this, and now, because of this documentary, that's all been aired again, and people are now saying that he was in the wrong also. It seems to be just there was a lot of mistreatment of her around that time.
A lot of mistreatment, and another thing that is surfacing, which I think is very interesting, is one sort of apology from back then. Of course, the Scottish comedian Craig Ferguson had a late-night show here for several years, and the late-night comics relentlessly beating up on Britney. And Craig finally has a thought, you know what? Maybe we've done it too much, and she's too young. Look.
Sam, you say that it was apparent the moment she broke.
Yeah, the documentary has a very vivid depiction of this absolute harassment by the tabloid press, most notably the paparazzi. And you can see, you know, image after image, video after video of her being hounded by the paparazzi. And in my view, it absolutely breaks her spirit. And I really think it caused significant mental health problems. And it sort of shows this timeline. She breaks up with Justin. The paparazzi are all over her. She meets Kevin Federline in very short order. They marry, 2 children, one after the other, and this relentless paparazzi pressure. And around that time is when the conservatorship began, that clearly those close to her felt she couldn't handle her own affairs, she couldn't handle herself.
So just explain that conservatorship, because Britney's dad, Jamie's been one of her conservators since 2008, after her public breakdown. He's got control of everything from her finances, mental health care, where and when she can travel, restrictions on visitors. In November last year, an American court rejected Britney's appeal to have her father removed as a conservator. A new hearing scheduled for today to discuss Jamie's role in managing Britney's estate. Representatives for Jamie Spears have said that his stewardship over her career likely saved her from financial ruin. He's always maintained that he's acting on his daughter's best interests, and he does have a great deal of control, Sam.
Right, and the analogy, Phillip, might be if you had an elderly relative and you thought they were sort of going dotty a little bit and you didn't want somebody to take away their money and you didn't think they could necessarily look out for themselves, you could initiate what is called a conservatorship. In this case, Britney wasn't 80, she was, 20. And they simply felt that people could take advantage of her, that she couldn't make her own decisions. And the fact that this has been in place for so long would indicate that at least the court believes her incapacitation still exists. To Jamie's credit, he was the one who came up with the Las Vegas residency, which I think resurrected Britney's finances. And then another incredibly compelling part of this documentary, she has the initial enormous success in Las Vegas. Then there's announcements, she's going to do it again. There's plans for a new hotel, a new big residency. You see, all the trappings, all the press, all the fans, everybody's there. Britney emerges from the stage, waves to everyone, and then this to me is unbelievably significant. She votes with her feet. She walks right past all the press into a car and leaves. and then announces 2 weeks later she's not going to go through with the second residency, indicating to me, and this is what she's now effectively said to the court, she will not work again as long as her father is in control. And that is the conflict we have right at the moment.
That's a very strong statement from her there. Let's come to Kim now, because Kim, you were working with Britney for 6 years from the age of 14, so really at the height of her fame, when most of this stuff that we've just been discussing here was happening. I wanted to ask you about her father, though, first of all. Obviously, Britney feels very, very strongly on this. Being part of that family and seeing it firsthand, do you think it is right what is happening? Do you think he should be her conservator?
Absolutely not. I think that at this point, she's a 39-year-old woman. She's not a child. And in fact, when you talk about a conservatorship, there's just really no question about it, that she doesn't need a conservator. What she needs is a good business manager, which Jamie Spears is certainly not qualified to be. And I think that at this point in her life, she should be given the opportunity to run her own life, to hire her own team, who will do what's right for her and allow her to move forward, because she has the ability to do that. She has incredible strength.
That at one stage her father said, my daughter is going to be so rich she's going to buy me a boat. You can sort of take that either way, can't you? That can be, you know, sort of a hope, a dream for the family, or it can be a little bit, right, we're all in this to get out of as much of it as we possibly can. If she becomes mentally unstable, then maybe she's going to fritter all that away. So, you know, this has to be locked in. What's your view of that?
When he said that, this was Britney's first headline tour. So this was many years ago, and it was a long ways away from her not only ever having a family or being hounded by the paparazzi. She was just starting to really become famous. And the way it was said to me was not in a supportive way. It wasn't in a, oh, wow, this is going to be such a wonderful ride and we're all going to be able to be happily ever after. That is not the tone in which it was said to me. So I can't say that it was a positive thing that he said. It was not a positive thing. And quite frankly, he wasn't involved in the building of her career. Yeah. So to have this man say something like that, just to me, just said, you really just are worried about how much money you're going to have to spend and how much money she's going to give you. We've got
to jump in and say we weren't there at the time, so we can only allege that that was said and in the way that it was said.
I just wanted to ask you here, because Britney's boyfriend Sam has come out and he said, now it's important for people to understand that I have zero respect for someone in regards to her father, trying to control our relationship and constantly throwing obstacles our way. In my opinion, Jamie is a total, and I won't say the word that he used there. I mean, how helpful is that? Because, you know, you were there when there was this huge media intrusion and this frenzy, and using language like that that's going to sort of fuel the papers more and the press, you know, that's a great story, that's a great headline. It's only going to make matters worse, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that I've never met Sam, but it was probably said in, you know, a very emotional moment. But all I can say is, based on what I see, and I've, again, never met him, he's been a very positive force in her life. I think at this moment, she looks absolutely beautiful and strong and healthy. I've noticed even just from her Instagram posts that she seems very positive and very forward thinking. And this is the Britney that has always been there. Yes, she did suffer great tragedy. She suffered a lot of slings and arrows from not only the paparazzi, but just through the breakup of her marriage and the fact that she wasn't able to see her children. I mean, any woman who loves her children, not having the opportunity to see them, wouldn't you have stress? Wouldn't you have a breakdown? It's very normal. Yeah. So it really has nothing to do with her celebrity. It has to do with her suffering these horrible tragedies. It's just not fair.
I would go back to, you mentioned her Instagram account. Just looking at that this morning. And she posts alongside some footage of Toxic on stage. She said, can't believe this performance of Toxic is from 3 years ago. I'll always love being on stage, but I'm taking the time to learn and be a normal person. I love simply enjoying the basics of everyday life. Each person has their story and their take on other people's stories. We all have so many different, bright, beautiful lives. Remember, no matter what we think we know about a person's life, it is nothing compared to the actual person living behind the lens. I've heard those words before. Do we think she's okay, that she can now take control and move forward?
Absolutely. I think that statement right then and there just proves it. She is taking the time to have a normal life. This is not something she's had since she was about 9 years old. I mean, you have to remember, even before she signed to the record company, to Jive Records, when I first met her, she'd already experienced Star Search. She'd experienced being in the Mickey Mouse Club. She'd experienced going to New York and performing in an off-Broadway musical. She'd done all of these other things even before she walked in the door of the record company. So she is almost like the story of Michael Jackson. Her childhood was not normal. And so now that she's an adult woman, she wants to have a normal life, and God bless her, she should absolutely have that, and she deserves it. She's worked for it at the very least. So let her reap the rewards of all of the labor that she's done over the many years she's been doing this.
Absolutely. Kevin, thank you very much for joining us today, and Sam as well. It's a documentary I'm desperate to see.
Yeah, Sam, have we got any idea of whether or not we're going to get it over here?
I have to anticipate, particularly given the interest, that you will get it over there. It premiered here on FX. It's now streaming on a service here called Hulu. But obviously, the attention globally is such, I'm sure there will be a deal to get it to the UK much sooner.
Only a matter of time, I'd have thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.